In this video, we're going to be talking about the chance for some big-time severe weather upcoming next week here. Possibly going to bring in the end of the quietness in the United States here with some big-time severe weather developing early next week across portions of the Midwest and then gradually becoming more severe as we get better conditions towards Dixie Alley and the Ozarks. But before we actually get into the forecast, guys, I would recommend you guys subscribe to the channel here. I would really appreciate the support, guys. Again, we got a few subscribers last night. I really appreciate that as well. And hopefully we can start live streaming next week. If severe weather does get severe, hopefully since next week is my spring break, I can live stream a lot longer and actually when the events start. As well, if you guys really enjoyed the video and it was informative and helped you out, I would recommend smashing a like button. And if you want to get notified as soon as I post a video, live stream, or community post as well, I consider hitting that bell icon notification there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the weather forecast. So this week and for the remaining of this week here, it's going to be very quiet, but we're looking at one low pressure to end this quiet weather for the United States here, and that's going to actually happen here later into early next week here, getting to Monday. We're going to start seeing some scattered storms across portions of the Midwest, and then from there on, it's going to be getting downhill going on through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and specifically on the, I guess, the mid to late part of next week. So let's go ahead and get into the forecast here. So this is getting into later Monday. So obviously really early in the week, we're going to start seeing our first scattered storms. We got a low pressure there in the upper Midwest of the United States and the northern plains. And we're going to start seeing some scattered storms as a result of the very warm temperatures leading up to some very high Cape. We're going to see some scattered storms developing across Iowa. I would not rule out the possibility if some of these could be severe, but of course, I don't see anything too crazy with these storms. We could see a few severe thunderstorm warnings, but I don't see anything too crazy that is going to keep my attention. I think as we get later into the week, things will start to get my attention. But getting later Tuesday, same thing. We're going to start seeing some scattered storms across the upper Midwest and central plains. Some scattered storms there from a low pressure down in the south central. So we also have a pretty significant cold front from the west here, so that's going to bring us some nice instability and possibly even a dry line with the moisture coming from the south here across portions of the plains and carrying on into the further into the week into the south central, which is going to why we're going to see potentially a multi-day threat throughout next week here. But things we're going to start getting a little bit more severe once we get into Wednesday, when things will start to get pretty severe across portions of these central plains here. We're going to start seeing some pretty severe and significant and as well widespread storms across South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, and as well into portions of the Midwest, including Iowa and Minnesota. And that's going to continue as we now get later into later Wednesday evening. We're going to be seeing two low pressures. It's going to really allow for a really widespread amount of moisture coming all the way from the upper Midwest down into portions of the Gulf Coast here. So really watching out for some significant severe weather later Wednesday across portions of the south central and southern Midwest, including Missouri. And so going to be really watching out for some pretty heavy rain as well. I would not rule out the possibility for some scattered thunderstorms across portions of the upper Midwest. And this will gradually start getting a lot more severe. I think the worst day is definitely going to be between Thursday into Friday. Is definitely going to be the main day for some big-time severe weather as we get into early Thursday morning. Things are going to get really severe across portions of the southern Ozarks here, including Arkansas, and as well portions of the Midwest, including Missouri, Illinois, and possibly even Iowa. Things will start to get pretty severe as well. But the worst day is definitely going to get later into Thursday evening. Here, some pretty significant storms across Dixie Alley and as well portions of the Mississippi River Basin. So it's including Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, all the way down to Arkansas. So kind of similar to what we saw not too long last week with that severe weather, and that's going to continue all the way up into Friday. Some more significant severe weather. We're going to be seeing so many low pressures in the region here, so really the amount of moisture really won't be a problem. We're going to go from very dry, very little precipitation across the country to now next week we're going to possibly see severe weather every day, whether it's a marginal in the upper Midwest Monday or possibly a higher risk, not like high risk, but a higher risk, maybe enhanced, who knows, down in the Dixie Alley in the end of the week here. But some really nice and significant severe weather possibly to develop as well into Friday across Dixie Alley, and even more severe weather possibly going to be even more significant getting into Saturday. It's it's going to be very significant across portions of the Gulf Coast, and as well, once again, the South Central and portions of Dixie Alley. So Dixie Alley looks like you guys are not going to get a break from the severe weather other than what we saw this week, but things are possibly just going to get a lot more significant as we go into what I call my spring break, so things won't be pretty at all. Let's go ahead and look now at the lightning flash density, which is going to help us give a better idea of where these, not really like rain, like a non-severe weather, but actual severe thunderstorms will possibly develop here. So like I said, we're going to be seeing some scattered ones across Iowa, specifically early next week into Monday, specifically Monday afternoon, when all that cave kind of builds up throughout the day. Even some nice cave building up as far as this weekend across Midwest. It's going to all accumulate, and that's kind of where we're going to be seeing a multi-threat across the plains and Midwest between Monday and Wednesday, because all that accumulation of that cave's kind of just going to blow up as temperatures increase. But we're going to be seeing some really nice numbers, possibly going to get some significant lightning across portions of Iowa, so definitely looking at some pretty severe storms. That'll continue throughout late Monday afternoon into the evening hours, and that'll gradually die out by Monday. Monday night will gradually die off, but as we now get later into Tuesday, things are going to get pretty severe. Some significant lightning density across Nebraska, so like I did say, once we get to Tuesday, things will gradually make their way a little bit more severe. I would scroll all the way into Wednesday is definitely when we may see our more severe day for the Central Plains. Some pretty significant lightning density across Kansas and Nebraska. Definitely have to keep a close eye on that, with some scattered areas of lower lightning density across the upper Midwest and portions of the central or north central plains, including South Dakota and Nebraska. But as we now get into Wednesday, that's when things are going to get, not Wednesday, once we get to Thursday, things are going to get really severe once we get to the Ozarks, including Arkansas, and into portions of Missouri. We're going to start seeing really widespread, significant lightning density, or lightning flash density. And that's going to continue to portions of Dixie Alley. Look at that. Some really high numbers across specifically Mississippi and Arkansas, as well as some scattered areas across Tennessee and portions of the northern half of Mississippi and northern half of Alabama. And that's just going to continue to Friday, another significant day for potential severe thunderstorms to blow up with some really high amounts of lightning, which is definitely going to be a big threat. And once we get into Saturday, some more and more dense lightning flashes across portions of the Gulf Coast and Ozarks. So you can just see how widespread it's going to be now, going from really dead. Look at this weekend, very dead, nothing really except for maybe Texas and small scatter storms, to constantly every day seeing some very high amounts of severe weather blowing up, whether it's in the Midwest early in the week between Monday through Wednesday all the way down to portion of the Ozarks and Dixie Alley, between specifically I'd say possibly mainly let's say Wednesday night through possibly Saturday. So this is a look here at the day 3. This is one of the models. This is not actually the SPC, but we're just looking at another global organization here of their probability for some severe weather. It's actually not like the SPC, where it's really day 7, day 8. They don't really give probability. That's kind of why I'm going to start using this one once it gets really far out, where it can give us an actual idea instead of waiting for day 3 or day 4. So we look at day 3. We're going to see some scattered storms again. This is going to be on day 3, so in the next 72 hours or so, which is going to be April 5th. We do have a 15% chance for severe weather, and this is not the SPC rating, where a 15% chance is a slight risk, or 30% chance is an enhanced or moderate. This is a little bit of a different type. It's actually 15 out of 100%, like, you know what I mean. But 15% chance is definitely a pretty significant chance for some scattered storms across Iowa, Minnesota, and portions of northern Nebraska. Like I did say, some scattered storms. And once we get down to April 6th, and I believe the 6th is, I think that's possibly, so that's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's a Tuesday there. So some scattered storms, like I did say, some Tuesday, some scattered storms developing with some really high cave. We're bound to have some storms develop, specifically with the 80s. We're going to start seeing in 70s in the region, and high amounts of high dew points. So I think it's bound to have some storms there, with a 15% chance, specifically in a small area of northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. But once we get to day 5, things become a lot more severe and widespread. So this is Wednesday. So this is the first day of actual widespread severe weather across much of the Midwest and Plains here. So we actually have a 45% chance now, and that's going to be for Nebraska and northern Kansas. And that all matches up with the lightning flash density that we just looked at as well, with the European really matching up here. But we have very widespread 50% chance, including portions of Illinois, Wisconsin, but the main area is going to be mainly much of Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and portions of Minnesota. So kind of starting to see some May and June-like severe weather early in April. So that's going to be very interesting here. Like I did say, severe weather is going to be very widespread outside of Dixie Alley. And we're already seeing that with the first potential outbreak this year being in the Central Plains. But as we now get later into April 8th, which is a Thursday, that severe weather risk goes now towards Dixie Alley and portions of the South. So getting that some severe weather potential across the Mississippi River Basin, and as well specifically the Ozarks, where we actually have a 60% for some severe weather. And we actually have two areas for a 60% chance. One in Nebraska, and one small region in, just outside the Ozarks in north central Arkansas and south central Missouri. So we're seeing very widespread areas in general. We got one in the Midwest there. We got one in the Central Plains as well. We got one in the Ozarks. Kind of looks like a smiley face, or it kind of looks like a face there. You got the face right there. So it looks like we may see, that's how widespread it's going to be. You kind of see like a little blob here. As it's going to be really some nice severe weather for sure across these regions. So there we got a little blob. So it kind of looks like Among Us character, but that's kind of cringy. Among Us is just cringy in general, so I kind of try to avoid that. But in general, Ozarks going to get really active severe weather beginning really specifically now into Thursday. And that severe weather will start to finish off across specifically the Central Plains and Midwest by Thursday as well. So when the severe weather is ending for one region, it's going to start beginning for the other region, which is why it's going to be a multi-day threat. So now to day 7, a more significant threat. This is now into Friday. So Thursday getting into Friday is definitely going to be the biggest day for some potential severe weather, as we have already, from 7 days out, already a 70% chance not only for one region, but for two regions, including northern Tennessee and as well portions of west central Mississippi and the borders of Louisiana and Arkansas. But you can see very widespread area all the way from the Gulf Coast to portions of the Ohio River Valley. So we're really watching out for some really widespread severe weather, and including the areas that got hit really hard for the past 2 weeks, specifically with that last outbreak we saw in Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee, where we had that very widespread and long enhanced risk. Very similar areas, so it's gonna be very I guess hard to watch these areas get hit once again. And then day 8, which is now getting into Saturday, again some bigger threats, a little bit more towards the west as well, and a little bit the east. As those Saturdays or as those Friday storms move toward the east, we will start to see some potential severe weather, including Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. But I'm really more concerned for the south central and far western Dixie Alley once it gets to Saturday, and that could very well be back to back really big severe weather days from Thursday, Friday to Saturday. It's going to be really the big 3 days I'm really going to keep a close eye on. Alright, so this is not going to be a look at the real-time temperatures for much of the just general central United States. There's the plains, as well portions of the Rockies, as far east as the Great Lakes and Appalachian Mountains. So this is kind of a more zoomed-in area of the United States, and these are actually the highs for Monday, next upcoming Monday here. So you see, we're going to be seeing some very, very warm temperatures, possibly well over 30 degrees above average across specifically, mainly portions of the Central Plains, where we may actually touch, that was actually a very loud voice crack, we may touch 90 degrees in some areas. That's going to be very, very concerning, not only because some people are not even close to used to that heat yet, but as well for a big and widespread severe weather event. But we're going to be seeing some widespread high 80s and some lower 90s across portions of the Southwest. But really watching, as these temperatures blow up across Monday here, we're going to start seeing that K building up, and that's why we're going to be seeing some scatter storms across Iowa and Missouri. So you're going to be seeing some lower 80s across much of the Central Plains and Midwest there, but really watching Iowa, Minnesota, these areas specifically for Monday. We have some pretty high 70s and some scattered 80s across Nebraska and Kansas, which is why we're going to be seeing those high K values kind of building up as early as the as early as Monday. As we now get later into Wednesday here, this threat's gonna kind of be more towards actually, let's go to Tuesday here. So these are the highs for Tuesday here. So I can actually get there. So these are highs for Tuesdays, I believe. So yeah, these are the highs. So we're gonna be seeing still some really warm temperatures, but really when it comes to Tuesday, that severe weather is gonna kind of be specifically for Iowa and Minnesota, and we're gonna be seeing some really colder temperatures with the higher 50s and lower 60s. So Tuesday's not really a big concern. I think Monday's gonna be a little bit more interesting than Tuesday, even though Monday really won't be interesting at all. But look at that, nearly 100 degrees, 98.1 degrees there across Texas. So we're gonna start getting really deep into the summer temperatures, and just consider this is April 6th. And then now scroll all the way up into Wednesday will kind of be the first day of some actual significant severe weather, and that's going to kind of be more towards specifically the southern portion of the Midwest and as well across Iowa. So going to keep close eye. However, there is going to be some widespread cold temperatures specifically on Wednesday. So that's going to be the limit to this actual severe weather, but that won't be the case for Thursday, as we're going to be seeing some really warm temperatures, specifically where we're watching that severe weather. Of course, really going to be watching out the Mississippi River Basin on Thursday, where we have some really nice 70s, mid to possibly between kind of 73, 74, and 75, as well as severe weather will continue to become a little bit more widespread upcoming to Thursday evening, and there we got plenty of some good temperatures across the region, across western Dixie Alley and the Mississippi River Basin. But Friday is just not looking too good as well. Some really actually getting nearly 80 degrees across the Mississippi River Basin. But again, with Friday, we're kind of be specifically more watching Dixie itself, so you can kind of see really nice temperatures, some high 60s as far as the mid 80s across the western Dixie Alley. So really favorable temperatures, and then into Saturday is going to be even more favorable. Going to be seeing some widespread high 70s and as well some scattered low 80s. So things are not looking good as we continue to build up. So it's kind of funny as we gradually go through next week. It's going to gradually get worse. So Monday it's going to be very minimal. Tuesday very minimal. Wednesday it's kind of gets the first day to keep a close eye on. Then Thursday is going to be pretty severe. Friday is definitely going to be very severe. And Saturday as well going to be very severe. So it's going to gradually get worse as we go through the week. Let me actually now move my screen a little bit to the north, or a little bit to the a little bit higher. I don't know why I said north, but a little bit higher so you guys can actually see. As we're going to start seeing up to 1,300, 1,400, possibly as high as 1,800 joules per kilogram across portions of the Midwest, building up on Mondays, which is why we could see some scattered storms there. That's actually only in the morning hours. As we now get in the evening hours across Monday, we're going to see as high as 2,200 joules per kilogram building up across Nebraska, with some pretty widespread 1,500 between 1,700 joules per kilogram. And that it also is including where we have that potential risk there, according to that organization we're looking at for day all the way day 8. But specifically I believe it was day 3. Until Monday, they had a risk between South Dakota, northern Nebraska, portions of Iowa, and Minnesota. And that's exactly where we can possibly see some pretty nice Cape values, 1,400 to possibly as high as maybe 1,900 joules per kilogram. And that's exactly why it won't be big of a day, but it's still going to be seeing some scattered severe storms that could definitely get severe quickly. But like I said, not going to be a big day, anything significant. We're going to skip Tuesday, and we're probably going to skip Wednesday as well. You can kind of see very minimal Cape on Wednesday. But as we now get to Thursday, things are going to be very interesting. You can kind of see on, I guess, early Thursday, we're going to be seeing some potential small storms developing all the way from the Midwest to Texas and the Gulf Coast. But really, the big time on Thursday is obviously going to be the evening hours, where we can possibly reach over 3,400 joules per kilogram in Texas. But obviously, that's going to be where we have those 90s, and that's not going to be the main thing. But the main thing kind of be towards the western Dixie Alley area, where we see 1,000 to possibly the mid 2,000 joules per kilogram. And of course, now getting to Friday, that's going to be the main day, possibly for sure. Very widespread, possibly 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram, with nearing 4,000 joules per kilogram in north central Texas, with some really, really warm temperatures. And that's going to become more widespread once we get to Friday evening. Widespread 3,000 joules per kilogram across western Dixie Alley. And then as we get towards Saturday, getting near 5,000 joules per kilogram but that's going to be mainly as a result of that really warm temperature. But Friday, big day, 3,500, 3,600 joules per kilogram across the Gulf Coast and South Central, and that's going to continue to be a big threat all the way into the portions of across portions of the southeast. But you can kind of see Friday going to be very widespread, nice Cape valleys, and reaching as high as 3,500 joules per kilogram, where it's actually be severe weather related and not that 4,000, 5,000 joules per kilogram, which is just directly to the heat. Another thing we'll be looking at as well is the shear. So as we get into Monday, we're going to be seeing actually some very, very high amount of shear across specifically portions of the, of course, western plains, but obviously that's not, we're going to be seeing that severe weather on Mondays. Monday's going to be mainly these areas, and on the Minnesota and South Dakota side, we're going to be seeing the most amount of shear. But in general, we will be seeing a pretty widespread amount of shear, specifically into Monday. That's going to be right in those areas where we're watching that severe weather as well. On Tuesday, Tuesday, of course, watching Iowa and Minnesota, we're going to be seeing some really high amount of shear as well. So shear won't be a problem, but of course, the temperatures most likely will be the limiting factor to the severe weather. But Wednesday as well, some really significant shear across the central plains here where we're watching that severe weather development. But again, temperatures will be potentially the limiting factor for Tuesday and Wednesday. Getting to Thursday, completely different scenarios, some really scattered amount of shear, specifically going towards the southern Midwest and Mississippi River Basin. And that's where we'll be watching severe weather for the first half of Thursday. But in the second half of Thursday, we're going to be seeing some severe weather across specifically southwestern Dixie Alley, like Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and portions of the Ozarks. And it's going to continue to be trend that's shear into Friday. We're going to be seeing even more shear across portions of western Dixie Alley into the Mississippi River Basin. And that's just Friday morning to Friday evening. Going to be seeing high amount of shear. And Saturday, we're going to be seeing extremely high shear across these areas in the southeast and south central. So that's exactly why we're watching these 2 days specifically. For Dixie Alley is going to be, I guess, anywhere from Thursday evening to as well as Saturday. We're going to be watching for some severe weather. And last but not least, we're going to be looking at the relative humidity to see exactly how humid it's going to be, whether there's going to be some dry air, and whether the atmosphere is actually going to be favorable for severe storm development and actual precipitation development. So we get to now Monday, we're going to be seeing, but this is actually Monday evening, we're going to be seeing some lower numbers that we've seen so far this year. We're going to be seeing some 50s to possibly some mid 50s across Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, which is where we're watching that severe weather for Monday. So that's exactly why it's going to kind of be limited. But when I get to Tuesday, things will get a lot higher on the humidity scale, getting to the 90s, actually nearly 100% humidity on in Nebraska. So that's kind of why there is a small severe weather threat on Tuesday, as well as a result of that humidity specifically getting nearly 100% across much of the Midwest. So, but of course, we're still going to be seeing some pretty cold temperatures, specifically where we're watching severe weather for Tuesday. To Wednesday, really high amount of humidity across the plains, where we're watching that severe weather development for Wednesday, of course. Nebraska and specifically Kansas as well. And now getting to Thursday, it's going to be kind of the big day here. I guess the first big day, I guess you could say that. We're going to be seeing really high amount of humidity, obviously getting into 100% across much of the Ozarks and the Mississippi River Basin. And that's going to carry on into Thursday here. See, Thursday, it's going to just blow up, as well Friday is going to blow up across much of Dixie Alley, much of the southeast, and much of the Gulf Coast. That's as well going to carry on to Saturday. So really favorable condition for severe weather, or much of, really, in general, much of next week, beginning Monday and lasting possibly all the way up to Saturday. So really watching out for some widespread severe weather across the plains, Midwest, Ozarks, Mississippi River Basin, Ohio Valley, and as well specifically Dixie Alley. Hope you guys enjoyed the video though, and enjoy your Friday and weekend.